Good morning. This brings us to the fourth horse of the apocalypse, the fourth seal of the apocalypse. Revelation 6, 7, and 8 says, Then the Lamb broke the fourth seal. I heard the voice of the fourth living creature saying, Come. I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and hell was following with him. Authority was given to him over a fourth of the earth, to kill with sword, with famine, with pestilence, and by the wild beasts of the earth. This becomes more clear when you begin to imagine the effects of the things we've discussed so far. The false peace, the civil unrest, the damage to economies. The world begins to decay. It begins to look much more science fiction, much more Planet of the Apes-esque, in the sense that monuments of former cultures and examples of a culture's infrastructure are fading. And the wild begins to overtake civilization. Death takes the body, hell, or Hades, takes the soul. There are four forms of death being described here. Murder. As I alluded to in the previous message, there is a terrible temptation that will befall those who are alive in a time when your day's wages will buy one meal. Who's going to die? And what am I willing to do to eat? What am I willing to do to pay for anyone that I may be having to feed? Personal assault. Vigilantism. That is, I thought this thing was wrong, I'm going to do something about it. And in a lawless place, who knows? As infrastructures fade, governments will fade, law enforcement agencies will fade. As governments begin to collapse and those that currently try to protect us begin to A, be not paid, or B, begin to feel like those that they protect hate them and don't want their protection anyway, you will see the notion of there being law enforcement for our benefit beginning to disappear, and people taking the law into their own hands as if it was the Wild West. Famine. Because of the lack of infrastructure, we will see the wild animals that we once drove out of civilization come back. Where I live in the California Bay Area, I've read that 150 years ago this area was full of brown bears. And hunters used to shoot them all day long, create big stacks of dead bears. But a few hours south, a few hours north, there's brown bears in people's swimming pools, going through your trash. We have no means of protecting ourselves, most of us, responding at all to the presence of bears in our neighborhoods. Some of you are armed. I believe that they are hard animals to dispatch, and that's why we have people that are trained to do so. We have rangers. People like that, game wardens, law enforcement people that are trained in those areas. I'm not. Most of you aren't. I like to joke that's the wrong word. People in my area get serious weather so rarely that when they do, our driving really shows our lack of understanding. There are those of you that live in places where you have real snow, and you have black ice, and you have blizzards and hurricanes. Some people in this area forget how to drive when we have a strong rain. In the same fashion, I think that very similar things will happen if major wildlife returns to urban areas. We're fortunate that our mountain lion population tries to stay away from us on purpose. But if we had mountain lions, we would have a whole different situation. Formerly civilized places will be retaken by mountain lions, grizzlies, wolves. Humans in famines historically, statistically become barbaric. Donner Party. Shackleton. The government systems for our protection will break down. 1/4 of the world population will die by riots, by famine, by public violence, by disease, and by wild animals. God is trying to get our attention. The final point I want to make is of greatest interest, and want to be very cautious about how I present this, because this is about a group of people that I think God really wants to save and really has a heart to reach out to, and that you and I, as brothers and sisters in Christ, need to find ways to be kind and to develop friendships with. This word pale horse, the Greek word is not pale. The Greek word is chloros. And I didn't understand this for a long time, but it's a pale green color. And I saw the color and I said, oh, that's interesting. Wonder what thing in our end times is going to make itself synonymous with this pale green color. And then I saw it. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be associated with even the slightest hint of hatred for another faith. See, God hates sin and loves sinners. And so it is the belief and it is the demonic spirit behind this faith that God hates. He loves the people. But in my neighborhood several years ago opened a, let's say, a church or a religious community center. And I immediately recognized the symbol that they use for their sign is the chloros. And I said, oh my goodness. There would have been no chloros because this religion did not exist when Revelation was written. The ability to see the sign, the physical sign of the building, would not have been a possibility. But I saw it, and I now see that in the end times, the chloros, the pale horse of plague, is connected to a major world religion that has extreme elements that have a desire to kill. And our response should be to love these people out of the demonic situation they're in, rather than to despise them because they belong to a false religion. When these things come, know that God is in control. Know that overcomers are going to trust Him. Be an overcomer. Be wise as a serpent. Be harmless as a dove. If I have blessed or encouraged you in any way, please like and subscribe. Please pray for me. In Jesus' name.